The whole thrust is to create a platform for our sales organization and our investors to enter into a dialogue. And what I'm interested in is the number of conversations that we're having, the number of engagements we're having on the topics that we have a strong opinion about, and we also ultimately have product behind. So the whole thrust is not mass impressions. It's not creativity for creativity's sake. It's to get people to go, I'm interested, I want to go deeper. I want to either then get deeper into the facts. I'll take a call from a State Street Global Advisors account executive.
From the library of the New York Stock Exchange at the corner of Wall and Broad Streets in New York City, you're inside the Ice House.
Fearless Girl first appeared on Broadway on the eve of International Women's Day 2017. The placement of the statue, commissioned by State Street Global Advisors and created by sculptor Kristen Visbal to promote State Street's She Index Fund. State Street's chief marketing officer and one of the originators of Fearless Girl, Stephen TISDALLE, sat down for a fireside chat with the New York Stock Exchange's Betty Liu to talk about all things fearless. Their conversation on the origins of Fearless Girl, guerrilla and disruptive marketing in the financial space. Our guest today, Stephen TISDALLE, is State Street Global Advisors Chief Marketing Officer and Senior Managing Director. Stephen oversees the company's brand and advertising, channel marketing, digital strategy, and creative services. In his 2 years with the firm, State Street has launched several innovative and successful campaigns. Now let's join the conversation with Stephen TISDALLE, interviewed by our own Betty Liu.
So thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us here on this really historic day at the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you guys for taking a break out of your busy work days to sit here with us. It's really great, Stephen, to have you here so that we can really learn a little bit more about Fearless Girl, hear about the origins. Tell me first about Fearless Girl, and has it exceeded your expectations?
I would say just slightly. Yeah, extraordinarily, it's exceeded our expectations. We never thought in our wildest dreams that creating a statue of an 8-year-old girl would become not only a global phenomenon, but become part of our culture, our modern day culture. And it's exciting to be very honoring to be part of a campaign. But I think we want to understand, so why was she created to begin with? And one of the challenges facing our brand we'll get into is that we have been a very quiet player in the category. We're the third largest asset manager that no one hardly knows anything about. And so my brief to our agency and to my own department was, how do we find interesting ways? So the message, the way you want to communicate Fearless Girl, she, in many respects, is a parallel to what the Charging Bull was. When that bull was installed, it was really to represent the spirit of American capitalism. It's very much about value, long-term value creation for investors. The values bit is what makes it emotionally appealing.
Right.
What are we trying to communicate? What is the real purpose of that statue?
And before we turn to the work that you're doing at State Street Global Advisors, what did you learn? Were there any mistakes you made? Were there any, what did you learn?
Well, the initial installation was treated almost like a television commercial. You get a 1-week permit. They block off the street. You're allowed to erect whatever as long as it's all taken down and it's not a public safety hazard. So the lessons learned were, we had thought through that this would be a short-term campaign. We didn't really plan for it to become the phenomenon, and we weren't, as a result, ready as a brand to really handle just the inbound volume of literally thousands of calls from all over the world. Within 38 hours of her being installed in Bowling Green, we had 1.5 billion social media impressions that then, since surpassed 8 billion social media engagements, which is just unheard of on a campaign that had no paid media behind it at all. It was just really the general public and, quite frankly, industry creating an emotional connection. We hadn't anticipated that. We also had where we did spend a lot of time, which we were ready for, is why State Street? Why State Street Global Advisors? Who in the world are you, and what moral authority do you have to create a statute like this when you look at your own diversity numbers, which aren't bad, but they're not necessarily category leading? And what do you have to say about that? So a lot of time was spent on that, and I'll get into that maybe with some of the other questions. But one of the things that I learned was when you create something like this and you start to see that it becomes a cultural icon, how can you actually start to weave that into the broader messaging of what the brand stands for? It's still a challenge, to be frank, for us.
Because it has,
It dwarfs everything else
exactly.
that we say.
It's almost anything that anyone would probably want to talk about, right?
Right.
So it comes up, I'm sure, in every conversation. So what is your strategy behind this?
So here's the challenge we face as a brand. So when you're the third largest, and this was very revealing to our leadership, when I came in, I started looking at, well, what is our top of mind awareness? Because there's nobody in the category that hasn't heard, that works within asset management, that doesn't know who State Street Global Advisors is. We don't have an awareness problem. What we have is a top of mind share issue, and we also have a lack of understanding. When people are asked what they know about us as a brand, they really could say one, maybe two things about us. The first thing is we're the big global indexer, the index giant. And this all came down to, we have a 7% top of mind awareness. When surveying investors, either in big public pension plans or financial advisors in the intermediary space on a global basis, there are two questions asked. The first question is, who do you intend to engage or talk about your investments within the next 12 months? And it's open-ended, but they're shown a list of brands, our competitors. When they answer that question, they're given one more try. In addition to the name that you've cited, who else do you intend to talk to? When you took both of those together and added our brand, only 7% said that we would be on their consideration list for a discussion in the next 12 months. That is a pretty scary figure when you're the third largest. And our competitors, our top two competitors were around 44% and 36% top of mind. We have then a whole slew of other competitors that are 1/10 of our size that would be in the 20s. We weren't even in the teens. And my marketing budget is quite constrained in that we're only set up really to promote products. The funding of our marketing is associated and inextricably linked to products. That's how the marketing budgets are created. So I have very little to work with at the brand level. And so how do I kill two birds, if you will, with one stone? And that is, do I promote the product and really bring out the salient features, or do I also at the same time try to promote the brand? And what we are trying to do is to have people go, I didn't realize that was from State Street Global Advisors. I'm gonna have another look at them. And we're creating a sense of intrigue. And to do that, you have to step out of the category. You either fit in or you lead. And I've, with the support of my leadership, have been given the license to lead. And so how do we take that whole category and bring it to life? And what is that secret sauce? And we thought, let's do this as a really entertaining medium that's targeting the end investor. And our objective, we don't market to the end investor, we only sell to the intermediary. We're a pure B2B outfit.
I want to make sure I get at least some audience questions as well. Does anybody have any questions for Stephen?
The success of Fearless Girl when it came out, it felt so organic.
Yeah.
Do you think looking back on it, you would have changed anything, or the organicness of it helped kind of fuel the phenomenon?
There was something very authentic where we didn't overly commercialize it. We didn't create a whole bunch of trinkets. You know, obviously there's t-shirts and so forth out there, and we do have we're fairly strict about the license agreement we have also with the artist, Kristen Visbal. It was organic. We didn't put paid media behind it. We just let it happen. That, I think, is what was really unusual. And that's why Fearless Girl won, 18 Cannes Lions last year, why she just took the industry by storm.
And just, Stephen, maybe to wrap up, these campaigns they're fun. They're out of the box.
Yeah.
How do you measure the success of that?
all of these campaigns, including Fearless Girl, the whole thrust is to create a platform for our sales organization and our investors to enter into a dialogue. And what I'm interested in is the number of conversations that we're having, the number of engagements we're having on the topics that we have a strong opinion about, and we also ultimately have product behind. So the whole thrust is not mass impressions. It's not creativity for creativity's sake. It's to get people to go, I'm interested, I want to go deeper. I want to either then get deeper into the facts. I'll take a call from a State Street Global Advisors account executive. I'd like to carry on the conversation. That's what I measure. I'm not measuring, mass impressions, click-through rates, yes, but I'm really looking at completions. And I'm looking at, does the level of engagement that we're getting on the marketing end correspond with what's in Salesforce, with the actual conversations we're having?
Terrific guidance there. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us here.
It's been great.
On a terrifically busy day.
Excellent.
I'm sure. Thank you so much.
That's our conversation for this week. Our guest was Stephen Tisdale, State Street Global Advisors Chief Marketing Officer and Senior Managing Director.